So where to start with this video? It's a very complex situation, and more of this situation is beginning to unfold. And as we move further into 2024, we're going to be seeing a lot more of Dokwon in the headlines, TFL, stuff like that, because this is all happening. It's in motion. And I think this is actually being very well swept under the rug. But at the same time, we need to address this. We need to get it out there, and we need to know that everybody is seeing what we're seeing, because this is a serious situation. It is a $40 billion crypto fraud. This isn't small fish. Okay, he's a very big fish for the US to fry. We've spoken about the SEC having a stake to drive through crypto and, sitting there sharpening it. But the hard on that the US has got for this guy is unbelievable. The reason why I'm saying this is because FTX has got off lightly. If you look at who FTX, SBF, their biggest donations were to, it was to, I'm not going to say specifically, but specific parties in the United States. And that's also been swept under the rug. So I don't think DK is going to get off lightly. In fact, I think they're going to use him as a trophy. They're going to tote him around, and he's going to get a real heavy sentence. And I personally think, and I don't know if anybody's placing bets on this anywhere online on those crypto sort of betting sites where you could bet on the ETFs and different stuff like that, but I would put a bet down that he's going to the United States. Now, I know the mass media can be left and they can be right, they can be up, they can be down, and they can be wrong, but my personal perspective from this is the US seriously has a hard-on for this guy, and they have been chasing him down since last year, and there's a lot more evidence coming to play, and there's certain motions that are being filed for which makes more or less certain things confidential, and evidence and different things like that would have to be presented in a very specific manner. Whistleblowers too, and I don't think this is fair, and hopefully all of it doesn't end up confidential and we do get to find out what really happened during this DPEG and everything that's sort of surrounding this, because we're not just talking about Dokwon, we're not just talking about TFL, we're not just talking about the SEC, we're talking about Phoenix 1 as a blockchain, and then also Columbus 5, and you'll get where I'm coming from shortly in one of these newer sort of articles that have been put forward. But the whole sort of fraud case that they've got is very strong against Dokwon. This isn't just if butts and coconuts. Is it a security? Isn't it a security? They're already saying that certain coins like Jump, Luna, and Mira are securities. And this is a big issue, specifically for us who do hang around in the Columbus 5 area. We are part of TFL's ecosystem. We're part of our own ecosystem. This actually affects all of us, and everybody who's sort of ignoring this and acting like it's not happening and it's not coming is actually not preparing themselves and those people around them for this big tidal wave that's coming. There's going to be a fork in the road, I believe, for LUNC as a blockchain to actually have to separate from everything. And I don't like to cut any options out. I always like to leave all of the bridges open. I don't blow anything up, and it's always best to go in and say to yourselves, what if? Could this happen? Is there substantial evidence to back this up? And there's whistleblowers, and there's all sorts of different things going on in the background which are all pointing to this guy is seriously fucked. With Dokwon's attorney, he's fighting these extradition requests until March, apparently. So I think the likelihood is we're going to see DK turn up in March. And like I said, this is really, really important because the SEC have been chasing him since last year. Let's do this from a very honest perspective. If you're innocent, why do you go on the run? Why do you have all of your assets freeze? Why do you travel on fake passports? Why are you now in jail in Montenegro for trying to travel on false documents? It's all not adding up. And what people need to understand is this isn't trial by media. This is trial in a court of law. There's probably going to be jurors. All of this is going to be brought up and used against TFL and Dokwon. And at the same time, I ask myself, and I've Googled and I've looked into, can can a company just simply change a CEO and it puts it all under the rug and nothing could be done to the company? No, that's not the case. Everybody can be held accountable. And the SEC, what we need to understand is our chain thrives on being interconnected with all of these CXs. As much as we are DeFi, we're interconnected with all of these CXs. We're very fortunate to have listings almost everywhere. There's not really a place you can't buy LUNC apart from like Coinbase, Robinhood, silly places like that. If the SEC push hard enough with regulations, with these ETFs and the further adoption of crypto, right? The SEC is given a little by giving these ETFs, so crypto really needs to start giving something back. And this is where they start to apply pressure on the exchanges to possibly delist Luna, LUNC, USTC specifically, I think is going to end up getting delisted regardless of the outcome. I think that's going to be heavily under attack. And if we look at XRP, it got delisted. Okay, it got delisted in so many places that it still hasn't actually been relisted back in a lot of these places. So a lot of people have been saying, Jay, keep an eye on this. Jay, let us know, keep us updated. And this is a real kind of bigger update that I've got together for you to really go over this. So it's going to be a bit longer. It's Sunday. Grab a cup of tea, pause it, come back if you need to. But let's push on. So with all of this comes multiple jail terms. And he's looking at substantial time, even if he goes to South Korea or the US. I personally, like I said, he's going to be going to the US from my perspective. It's all part of this sort of friendly nations agreement, and probably South Korea will get something out of it. The US will get DK out of it, and they'll get to make a meal of him. They'll get to show the broader consensus of probably when the time comes, right? This will land at a time when they're trying to get people to adopt crypto and say, well, look at this guy. We got him and he defrauded millions and millions and billions. We got him. We got SBF. And it all plays into their narrative and the way they want it adopted, because it's a system and we can fight it as much as we want, but sometimes it just takes its own course. So let's go back, let's take a look at this article, which is Dokwon seeks trial delay in SEC fraud case and cites extradition hurdles. So Dokwon, co-founder of Terraform Labs, has requested a postponement of his trial in the United States District Court. Now, let's look at this for face value. Why would he request postponement of his trial in the United States if he wasn't going there? He probably thinks he's going there and he's preparing for that eventuality. Now, the basis for this request lies in the intricate extradition challenges Kwon faces in Montenegro. And we've explained this a couple times on the channel. This isn't like a jail in Sweden or a jail here in the United Kingdom. This is a really bad place. You can watch documentaries online. You can see that he's got his head shaved in all of the pictures. And this is probably because of lice and diseases. And, we've really got to look into these things for face value. So he's going to be seeking to address these issues to ensure his presence at the trial. So he definitely wants to be there to give himself the best defense possible for whatever reason, right? Looking at this again for face value. So if we scroll down a little bit more, there's some background context in this, and in two of the legal documents we have been mentioned, specifically USTC and LUNC. So in a significant development in February 2023, the SEC charged Dokwon with fraud, alleging his involvement in a multi-billion-dollar crypto securities fraud linked to the collapse of Terraform Labs' digital currencies. They specifically mention us. They mention Luna, and I say us being Columbus 5, Luna being Phoenix 1. And honestly, if we're going to survive this, I think there will come a time where there'll be a fork in the road and we may have to rebrand. We may have to get delisted to then get relisted. We just don't know what's coming at this point. And I'm just trying to better and best understand how we can address these waves that are coming, because these are going to be big waves, right? The SEC is running out of time with the XRP sort of court case, and Ripple are actually dragging it out now because they know that re-election terms are coming. The likelihood of Gensler more or less serving another term is very slim. So he's going to lose his grip hold and his forefront on the SEC case, right? Now, let's look into this deeper. The person who replaces him is going to need a trophy, something, a medal, right? Anything to put on to say, look, I'm the guy for this job. We've done this to this person. Dokwon's prime candidate for honestly getting seriously messed up throughout all of this. And I don't want to swear again in the video, but there's no other way to say what is going on other than saying, you know, he's fecked. He is seriously fecked in this situation, and it's not looking good from any angles. So coming into the end of this video, right, let's do some theoretical thinking about whistleblowers, all of the different points that could play into this case. This is an XRP where it's a well-oiled machine. They didn't do anything wrong. They had a very strong legal standing. It's a lot different for Dokwon. He's part of a collapsed system, and all of these different people, right, that are probably going to be getting dragged into it. Daniel Shin's probably going to be getting extradited. You're probably going to see a few people get extradited from South Korea, because they've been keeping them there, to the United States to be held accountable alongside Dokwon, right? Everybody's seen the films. Everybody's seen the guy who gets arrested, and what does he do to his teammates? Well, he rats them out. He comes clean, and he tells the law and those who... It's funny to realistically look at it from this way, but just stay with me here. It could all just pan out that they all throw each other under the bus, right? And even further than this, Dokwon's got a very strong understanding of DeFi, how DeFi works. In fact, he created our blockchains, right? He created Columbus 5 and he created Phoenix 1. Nobody knows if he's got some sort of crazy backdoor. And just on the right here, who is Satoshi Nakamoto? We don't know if he's got a backdoor key to BTC. You just don't know. So when they do finally get him and they begin to squeeze him and squeeze him and squeeze him, anything's possible. And he could just rat everything out and more or less work with authorities to get it all shut down, to get a reduced case and different things like this. And this is why I think sweeping this under the rug's not going to be a good situation for any of us, because at least if we follow this and it does look like it's a situation that's panning out, as horrible as it sounds, there'll be a fork in the road and we'll have no choice but to distance ourselves as a community and as a blockchain from TFL and say, look, hey, to the SEC, whoever's going to do this, right, and say to the SEC, we are just a community that banded together from the crash. They're the new coin. You can have USTC and we'll go off and we'll rebrand. And yeah, but there's all these different issues, right? If Mira is being deemed as security, if Luna's being deemed as security, Jump, Chai are also being deemed as securities. A lot of us are after the crash. So a lot of people don't know about Jump. They don't know about Chai. They don't know about all of the ins and outs and ups and downs, right? And like I said, this is going to be in a court of law with jurors and peers and lawyers and all sorts of different professionals, right? And everything this guy has done from the crash to when he arrives in that courtroom is going to be used as evidence, and they're going to drag it out. They're going to really bleed him out slowly. And like I said, we just don't know how this is going to pan out. But let me know what you think. This has been a pretty substantial update. It's probably a lot for everybody to take on board. Does this mean everything's going to collapse? No, of course it doesn't. This is just an update of all of the different things that are going on, put together so you're always in the know and you're always up to date with what you realistically need to be up to date with. But yeah, let me know in the comment section what you think about all of this. It's so important you pitch in and let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what other content you want to see on the channel. Folks, drop a comment, drop a like, sub if you haven't already. We have got a Patreon. You can join there. You can subscribe there too, to help support us a little bit extra outside of the YouTube channel to help us keep coming back, making content like this and keeping you up to date. But other than that, folks, have a really nice Sunday. Stay safe, stay humble, stay aware. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one.